What's up, everybody, and welcome to another episode of Vibe Check. Thank you for tuning in. I'm Rich Wilson, founder and filmmaker at Vibe Media, where we help your brand build to an influencer level online presence using filmmaking tools and tips to tell your story. Well, today we have another movie challenge for you where we dive deep into the 1971 drama and feature film directorial debut of the one, the only, Steven Spielberg himself, the movie Duel. Now, this is an episode that I definitely was excited about because I was the one who made the challenge. But not only do we talk about what we thought of the movie, but also how it has impacted not only Steven Spielberg's career and many of our careers as we studied Steven's work and his style, but also pop culture in general, as there have been many references in pop culture about this movie. So you don't want to miss what we think of it. So what am I doing standing around here? You want to watch the episode. So on with the episode! Hey everybody, welcome to Vibe Check, the video podcast for filmmakers and film enthusiasts. I'm Rich Wilson, founder and film director at Vibe Media. We've got Dana, our client relations and producer, and Forrest, DP extraordinaire, lights the set beautifully. Anyway, we are at another movie challenge. Ooh. Yes, and this one we're talking about the film, the feature-length film debut of the directorial debut of Steven Spielberg, Duel.
So was that his first full-length film with Universal then?
Yes.
Okay, cool. That's
yes,
what I thought.
he worked on some like shows with Universal,
Yeah.
but his first feature film was Duel. And so I challenged this to you guys. I know you've seen it before, but we had to do some refreshers, so I'm actually going to go to you because you've never seen it before.
It was such a challenge to get through. I love Steven Spielberg, and I love his movies, and I love that they're slow burn, but this one was just a little too slow for me. I fell asleep the first time I tried watching it. Well, that's actually not true. The first time I tried watching it, I got 15 minutes into what I thought was the free version on YouTube. Didn't realize it was in Spanish. Because, it starts with, listening to the radio, and I was like, oh, cool, he's listening to, the Spanish radio, whatever. And then I realized the actor was talking, I'm like, hang on a second. This doesn't make sense.
That's great.
So the second time I watched it, I fell asleep halfway through. So I had to start over again where I remembered leaving off.
Right.
And rewatch it.
Well, that's not because you thought the movie was entirely
it wasn't
boring.
because
We
I thought it
we
was
were
boring.
working pretty intensely this last week.
Yeah,
so,
that is true too. But also, it was just kind of hard for me. It wasn't as enthralling, I would say, just because there's not really a whole lot going on through most of it. I feel like a lot of it's just cat and mouse chasing kind of, and which is fine. I love that idea. But when there's not a loud stuff going on, it's hard for me to stay awake late at night watching a movie.
It's very student film-esque, vibe-wise, where it's, it's a student
morning.
film on a grand scale.
Yeah.
So essentially, he had a budget behind him to do it, but it doesn't have a lot of the substance to keep you too enthralled. There's not a lot of dialogue.
Right.
It's not Jaws.
I think that's where the stigma comes from, because if you go back and you watch it, you probably won't appreciate it as much because when you think Steven Spielberg, you think of those big staple movies. I never even heard of this movie until I was watching the Spielberg documentary on HBO, and they were talking about it. I'm like, I've got to watch this movie. This was his first movie. I've got to watch it. And I found it and I watched it. And, honestly, I thought it was great, and it is a great movie. But again, when you think of that stigma of Steven Spielberg, the brand of Steven Spielberg, you know what to expect. And it's almost like going back and watching some of our first videos that we've made, we're like, oh.
Well, and a lot of people would actually say, based on the tagline that we learned in film school too, essentially, if you think about this movie like Jaws on land, you can see when he did go and make Jaws,
He used a lot of the same.
He used a lot of the same tips or tips and tricks, a lot of the same shots.
Right.
All of those things. You can tell he definitely adapted his original this movie
You can tell it's
Yes.
Steven Spielberg
Yeah.
who's making this
Well,
film.
it's 80s.
Absolutely.
It's definitely 80s Spielberg because there's a lot of that suspense level. Because he's grown in his directing.
Didn't it come out in the 70s?
Yeah, but
Oh,
but
you're making.
but Jaws
gotcha.
came
Okay,
out.
I'm sorry. Yep, gotcha.
Moving on. Like
Yeah.
it's
He's still using a lot of his old stuff in his newer.
right because he really likes using that kind of suspense level and honestly like I think this movie did a really great job of portraying just the suspense and kind of anxiety that happens that could happen apparently that when you're
piss someone off
yeah
on the
when you
road.
piss somebody off on the
Well,
road.
for those who don't know the story,
Yes.
essentially Duel is about it's a duel between truck driving, essentially.
It's a car. It's this guy trying to go meet a client, and they're far away. I don't know why he's driving through the desert to go meet this person. Doesn't really make sense there, but I'm sure I might have just not been paying attention. And essentially, this truck just comes up on him, and he lets him pass, and all of a sudden, this truck's just being a total jerk to him, and just riding his ass, like swerving over so he can't cut him off, and it is essentially like a cat and mouse game. And what I really liked about it too, going back to the whole comparison of Jaws, is with Jaws you don't really see the monster for the first half of the movie,
right.
up until the end. And same with this movie, you don't see who's driving the truck. I think at most you see a hand, and that's it. Unless maybe I also might have missed that, but I only ever saw the hand. And I feel like he really creates that shroud of mystery of, you don't get to see the monster, but you're still like creating that fear and that anxiety feeling of like, what is that? What's creating this?
Yeah, and it just becomes this over the top type of, like worst case scenario. Like if you tick off somebody, now the guy's following you and he's coming after you, and no matter what you do, you can't get away. And what do you do? What do you do? What do you do? And honestly, from anybody who's been on road trips, that's probably, it always crosses your mind. Like, holy crud, like what may happen? And I think it like played on that kind of fear and anxiety that people have.
It's a real situation.
And made it into a real situation.
Same
Exactly.
with Jaws. Shark attacks are very real and
Yes.
scary.
Well, and it plays on this, not even from that, but going into Jaws 2, the fact that the truck had these massive teeth and this intimidating look to it made it that scary thing that follows you. And you can also tell, we talked about this in film school, I'm trying to remember what the movie is called, but there's the old school movie where the guy is running through the crop field and the airplane keeps diving at him to try to attack
yes,
him. And it's the very same vibe. It gives that same vibe of like this omniscient attack that's trying to gather this guy. And this just puts it even a little more viscerally, because most people are like, oh, well, a plane, that's not an ordinary thing to be attacking you. But on the road, that's another individual who has just the same means, if not more means than you. It does add to that creep factor a little bit of, this is something that could actually happen. Like, road rage is real. This thing is a real threat here to him. So it's a pretty interesting interpretation to kind of see where he was influenced from other movies that came before him, and also, how it adapted and influenced his future films.
Right.
And it's still like such a scary scenario that they're still making movies on it today. Like, I think Russell Crowe a few months ago just made a movie where he was actually the road rager and was going after this woman, and it was all kind of shot in their vehicles on GoPros. But, like, the fact that it's still just, like, a scenario that can just terrify people even, like, 30, 40 years later, like, he was kind of ahead of the game a little bit by creating this, scenario of a much more powerful vehicle coming after you for absolutely no reason. Like, that guy literally did nothing wrong.
Right.
Like, he let him pass him, and that was it.
Right.
And they just kicked that off.
And they make fun of this even in, like, National Lampoon.
Right.
Especially even the reboot with Ed Helms and stuff in it. They had a whole scene where it was like a truck that had a teddy bear attached to the front of it that followed them out in the middle of literally nowhere.
Oh, you're right.
Like,
Oh my
it's-
goodness, I
Yeah.
never would have
literally-
made that
Yeah.
connection.
It's literally an
And-
homage to this.
Yeah, and also, just within the last couple of months, a Family Guy episode
Family Guy.
played on that too. My wife and I were watching it, or maybe it was last season, and my wife and I were watching it, and I was like, I was laughing, dying through the whole episode, and she's like, "What is so funny?" I'm like, "They're playing off of Duel," and she's like, "That dumb movie about the truck." Yes, the dumb movie about the truck. You know? Well, and I think it also, this movie has zero dialogue.
Yeah. it's
Except for
very-
maybe
very
the guy
and-
talking to himself.
Very
the guy
what am I
talking to
gonna
himself,
do? What's going on?
Exactly, but there's no dialogue. The only you have the radio, whether it's Spanish or or whatever language, right?
Hey man, sometimes I listen to the Spanish radio.
Yes, absolutely. But
On accident.
but yeah, I think it's amazing that you don't need. I think what Steven Spielberg was really showing, or he did a great job in showcasing, is that you don't need great dialogue in order to tell a story. And I think he played that off on just the silent films of old, where films were the origin story of films, right? You create great, compelling stories without having any type of dialogue. You see the story happen, and yeah, he was talking to himself, but you could feel that anxiety, and you had the music, and you had all this stuff just going and going, and oh my goodness,
And listening to the truck, start off far, and then you could hear it come up closer and closer and closer. His sound, although it wasn't obviously the best because this was back in the 70s, they didn't have the best technology, but it still created a fear through his sound and an audio that he used.
Well, and the sound design is another element that even towards the end of the film, when the truck goes over the cliff and all this stuff, there's sound that's added in post that almost makes it like a scream, like this creature is doing a guttural scream as it's leaping off the cliff.
And the way it looks too almost seems like it's all foggy and dark and cryptic looking, and it almost doesn't look like it fell off a cliff. It almost looks like it is falling apart within itself. It's super weird.
Well, in the documentary as well, they talked about for Steven Spielberg documentary. When they were talking about Duel, they even talked about how Steven wanted to kind of create that persona of that the truck itself was the monster. Yes, we saw the hand, but you didn't really see anybody else in there. The truck was this entity, and when it crashed and it was burning and you saw the oil leaking out, it was basically bleeding to death. That's what the visual was about, is that it was bleeding to death. It was dying.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
Although, I still kind of like the idea of not really knowing who the bad guy was, not knowing who the driver was. It creates that sense of eerie, almost anxiety feeling of I don't know who this person is.
But was there a driver?
Yes, we saw the hand.
You saw a hand, but you didn't see anything else. Or
is it death like Final Destination, and he's just playing tricks again because Final Destination 2, log truck on the freeway. We all know how that went.
Anytime
trucks are scary.
Here's the thing: the logs were possessed.
Trucks are scary with cargo, so
Motorcycles,
let's
all of
just
it's horrifying.
Could be related. Could be
we
the
need to
same
have a
thing.
Final Destination episode.
Oh, yeah.
Where we just talk about all of them. Sorry. Back to Duel.
Okay.
But so overall, honestly, also this wasn't a very long movie.
No, it's like 100 an hour and 30 minutes.
Yeah,
Sorry.
Yeah, it was
I'm tired.
it's like a 90-minute film, which was kind of in that time, that was kind of where the story always takes. Movies at that time were always, we don't have these 3, 4, 5 hour movies
and it
anymore,
feels longer because there's not dialogue in it too.
Yeah.
That's one of those things to keep in mind. Is it's it definitely was the right time length for something that didn't have dialogue, because I think if it went longer,
it would just
it would have been way too dragged on.
Well, I think Alfred Hitchcock even says, he's like, if you can't tell a story in 90 minutes, then it's not really worth trying to tell, because then at that point you're just pulling it out too much and trying to explain too much, and no one's their attention span's not really gonna be there 2.5, close to 3 hours, especially now with phones.
Oh
and
yeah,
everything.
everything TikTok era,
Yeah.
you know. But we kind of touched on this too. Like this was his first directed feature-length film, and we could see those elements in his movies following, like Jaws. Big one of suspense. You know, what do you do when your mechanical beast, the the shark keeps breaking down, and you have all these scenes to film with it? What he did is like, oh, we have these barrels. Let's just use the barrels to create that suspense. And it was brilliantly done because he learned from how to build that suspense and anxiety from this movie, from Duel.
Yeah, you just have to be able to work around situations like that, because I think even now the shark still has issues on the Universal tours.
Well,
At least every time I went as a kid, it always was broken down.
Right.
True.
right.
Could be. Well, I have a question for you guys. So, I'm not sure if you guys saw like Super 8.
Yes,
I never
love it.
saw it. Did it have any elements of like this to it,
Yes,
where there's some sort
because
of
they didn't show what
like
the
a train
creature
or
was.
yeah.
Well, the train wasn't like the issue. The train crashed and
Okay.
created, it unleashed this monster that was wreaking havoc on this town. And
Okay.
yeah, and he did the same thing. I feel like he kind of has a tendency of not really showing, what the actual monster is until maybe a little later. Like he doesn't ever want to start off with it. Like even in Gremlins, like he
Okay.
doesn't show what Gizmo looks like until a few, like probably a good 30, 45 minutes into the movie.
Well, and I'd be curious again, like with Family Guy, what other things have been influenced. I, for some reason, have a strange feeling that Stranger Things has some sort of reference to something similar to this, maybe. I'm not sure if it's just that nostalgia in general.
I think it's the 80s
I don't know
nostalgia,
if-
which
yeah.
we talked about last week. Again, it's just the era.
It just feels so
it just-
nostalgic, like
it
it just all
does.
ties in. And it's Steven Spielberg, so it just has that sense of, creepiness to it. But not like a scary creepiness, like a
No.
intriguing creepiness.
You know what? I'm glad that you said that. Intriguing creepiness, because you look at a lot of the movies and a lot of his movies deal in that. And he's all over the place, but the vast majority of like the big staples that we think of Jaws, we think of E.T., we think of Indiana Jones. Those movies have got some very intriguing creepiness to them.
Even Indiana Jones, like a lot of
Temple of Doom.
yeah. Oh my
Scared
goodness.
every kid, like
Me and my brothers. Yeah, we do that every time we see each other.
yes,
The heart pulling
Yeah.
scene. Yeah, so funny.
Well, and it makes you wonder, again, this whole sense of something larger and overpowering chasing after somebody, like going to Indiana Jones, the big boulder.
Yeah.
Is that maybe a subtle reference to the same thing, where some of these same shots of a boulder coming at him with the truck coming at him.
At the
yeah.
small
It's kind of the
car.
same, this big force that you can't stop
Yeah.
coming towards you, and it's coming from somewhere mysterious, like
Yeah.
this temple.
So I'm actually going to be interested to see. Maybe we will have to like really look into this when the new West Side Story comes out. That's being directed by Steven Spielberg.
Oh,
and
what?
and yes, yeah. New West Side Stories actually should be coming out soon, because they just finished filming a couple months ago. And Steven Spielberg directed it, so maybe there's going to be a little duel in there. Oh, get it?
Between the sharks and yeah.
Hey, when you're a jet all the way, from your first cigarette to your last dying day.
There will be a duel. We know this. Come on, sharks
yeah.
and jets.
Yes, that is true. That is true.
Something about sharks. He just loves
Yeah,
sharks.
he just must love it.
He's really into sharks.
He
man.
didn't even know it was a musical. He was just like, oh, there's some sharks in
I'm
it?
in
Yes, yep.
Interesting fact, nobody knows he's a secret director on Sharknado.
Is he
All of them. I'm
really?
kidding.
That would
Oh
be
my gosh, I was like, are you
hilarious.
kidding me?
They've been my own personal pet project. All 7 of them.
Just kidding. Don't listen to me. I'm lying.
Don't
Yeah.
quote
I
us on
lied
that.
to your face. I'm sorry.
It was a joke.
It'd be great, though. It would
That
kind of
be
make
so
sense.
Cool. But now, is he the one who also did the AI movie? With, Haley Joel Osment.
Yes,
So
he did.
what's the dual reference in that then?
Ooh.
I never saw it. So
Oh, don't.
Ooh.
I'll save you the time.
Yeah, it's a modern Pinocchio story. Like
And
really,
the
it
ending
is
was not what he wanted it to be. I'm pretty sure the studio ended up changing it.
probably.
Well, because there's
Yeah.
like a director's cut with the original ending that's a lot sadder, and then the happy. Oh yeah, the fairy godmother
Yeah,
saves him. And he goes
yeah.
to sleep with his mom in the bed and doesn't just die at the bottom of the ocean.
Yes.
But he does.
Yeah.
Not to be a Debbie Downer.
Yeah.
yeah, I don't know. I don't know if there is a reference in that one or not. I just know that this movie has definitely adapted or influenced a lot of his future films, just in the way that he shoots things. You can tell this is kind of his stylistic from the beginning.
This kicks
Yes.
off, yeah.
Yes.
How he would film stuff in the future.
Especially with the logistics of what you had to work with at that point in time too. Technology was way different back then. You didn't have the capabilities that you have nowadays.
Oh,
with
with like
technology.
with like computer stuff like that was not even maybe the tip of the iceberg. Everything was very practical. Everything was very and look at this, like editing this, like I don't think there was a whole other than maybe like the sound design, maybe some coloring, but there's not a whole lot that you really needed to do to enhance this movie. It was shot pretty seamlessly.
And I feel like that's kind of what gets lost in Hollywood now. They try to overcomplicate it by trying to make it look, too pretty. Whereas, something like this, you could just shoot it, edit it, just the audio, maybe do some colorization and just take it for what it is.
Looking at
and
you,
have it be a
Michael
good
Bay.
film. Yeah.
And
What
your
up?
first
And J.J. Abrams.
first three Transformers where you couldn't see anything. Sorry.
Yeah.
No, it's okay. I understand the Michael Bay hate. I'm on that train.
It's literally like I'm what am I looking at? I don't even know anymore.
Michael Bay.
Was it
Spike
too green
Lee,
for you?
M. Night
It was just
Shyamalan.
too much. I was like, I don't know if I'm looking at robots or what anymore. So it's
Why
like,
is everything brown?
No.
anyway. But yeah, it's one of those film school staples that we touch on. You can definitely, as you look into further of his work, you can see where this influenced a lot of stuff.
Well, he's also
so.
like, the holy child of film school students. Like, he went to USC and got a job, like, interning at Universal at, like, 17. And
Snuck
just
into Universal.
literally kicked his career off. By,
Yeah.
Like, he did all the things that, you're supposed to do to get into film.
Well, back in when
Yeah.
the Hollywood industry has changed
That's
quite
why
a
I
lot
did
now.
quotes.
So yeah.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Honestly, if you try to follow what Steven Spielberg did,
luck.
good luck, because there's no way you'll be able to sneak into the Paramount studios and then just find an empty
Their
office.
robot security will hunt you down.
Yeah, seriously.
Infrared style.
I honestly, I love that story too, where you just snuck onto the studio and just found like an empty office, put up a desk, and you just like went there every single day.
You just have to,
and then just all of a sudden he's like directing TV shows
just
there,
act like you're
and
there
then,
and you're
and then doing
gonna
Duel.
be meant to be there.
It's amazing. His story is amazing. Heck, we could talk about favorite
Note
directors.
to everybody out there, just trespass. It'll be fine.
Yes, yeah.
It's fine,
If you
it's
want to
fine.
get into Hollywood, and you want to be a great director, you have
Break
to
into
break
places.
into places and then just act like you already belong there. That's what Steven Spielberg did. We could do the same.
Hey, some kid did that as a doctor at 17. Like,
Right,
no joke, just
right.
recently.
His
Just
name,
recently?
Like, maybe a few years ago.
I was like, are you referencing Catch Me If You Can?
That's not recently. That's old.
Yeah, I know. When you said recently, I thought, you know.
No. I'm
I was
talking
like,
about,
okay,
like, no, this was a real scenario,
That's
like, a
awesome.
few years ago.
that reminds
Doogie
me.
Howser, MD.
Doogie Howser, yeah. Yeah, there
What
we
was
go.
that child
Real
doing
life.
as an MD?
Anyway.
Obviously, brain surgery, and
You're right.
massive,
Sorry,
you
my
know.
bad.
Oh well, there we have it. Duel, great start of an amazing career for an amazing director that we all admire. So let us, if you've seen Duel, and if you haven't seen Duel and you're a Steven Spielberg fan, go watch it. Just
Watch it during the day.
yeah, watch it during the day. Don't work. 47 hours in
Please
a
don't remind
2-day
me.
period and then fall asleep during it. Don't do that. But go and watch Duel. We've got another Actually, we've got one more of our movie challenges coming up in a couple episodes where we talk about time code.
Yes.
And that will be fun to watch and to talk about. And next week, because it's the new year, we'll just kind of talk about like new year, not necessarily New Year's resolutions, but we'll talk about just a brand new vibe that you should expect in the new year in 2021. And with that, keep vibing.
Bye, guys.
Well, I hope you enjoyed that episode, and let us know in the comments below what you thought of Duel, and also give us some suggestions on some upcoming movies that you would like us to talk about, and maybe even some other discussion topics that you're taking a look at when it comes to filmmaking and some of the films that are currently out. And if it's your first time here, thank you so much for joining us. Make sure you like the video and comment down below and let us know where you're from, and also subscribe to the channel so you can know when we come out with new and fresh content for you. In the next episode, we're going to be talking about this new year ahead of us and what steps that we are taking in order to come out of 2020 and building a stronger and newer vibe in 2021. So you don't want to miss that. I'll see you in the next video, but until then, keep creating, build your brand, and go out there and tell your story.